Hello friends and followers. Today I'm going to tell you a new story that I hope you like. That the magic is always in your hearts. This story happened in a distant country and in a distant time. In him, a monarch named William reigned. The king had widowed for a few years. The only son he had, named John, was a handsome and beautiful prince, that he had been educated exquisitely by his father, who had taught him since he was little, that the most important thing, it was to take care of the kingdom. They both lived in a beautiful castle located on top of a hill. From there, they could see the towns that was around. He was always surrounded by birds. They came from all over the country, attracted by the beautiful lake, which was in front of the castle, where they went down to drink and where they were happy. The king and the prince were two good people who dedicated almost all their time to serving their people. To the prince, John, he liked to ride horses and he used to go around the kingdom to see what his people needed. Sometimes, he came out dressed like any other person and chatted amicably with all the inhabitants. He asked them about the problems they had and how to solve them. In a small town far from the city, he had a good friend named Sam. Sometimes he went to visit him with his horse, and he spent hours and hours talking to him. In those moments, the prince felt like a totally normal, and he really liked that feeling. When he was with Sam, he didn't have to keep any kind of protocol, and he felt full of happiness. One day, old King William sent for his beloved son, because he had to tell him something very important. He looked serious and seemed worried. "What do you want to tell me, father? I have rarely seen you so serious. Is something bad happening?" "You'll see, son. There is an issue that has been worrying me for quite some time. You already have 24 years old, and you should already be looking for a wife. So that was what worried you so much, father. Well, it doesn't seem that important to me. That topic can still wait," John answered. The king, frowning even more, replied, "It doesn't seem important to you, my son, but an old and tired king like me knows that he does not have many years to live. The day that happens, you will be the one new king, and I think this country also needs a queen." "Father, you are much wiser than me, and I know that if you ask me, it must be so." And John, smiling, said, "Don't worry, you leave it to me. I will take care of finding a wife who is worthy of accompanying me in the throne. Don't worry about it anymore." And giving the old monarch a kiss on the cheek, he retired to his chambers for sleeping. John spent the whole night thinking about the conversation he had had with his father. He couldn't stop thinking about it. To the subject. He didn't know what to do to find the right woman to marry. Should I be a pretty woman? Should I be an intelligent woman? Or perhaps better, both things together? After being awake for several hours, and when the sun's rays were coming through the window, the young prince had an idea that seemed brilliant. He already knew what he had to do. As soon as his father woke up, he would go running to tell him, "Good morning, dear father. I've been thinking all night about the conversation we had, you and I yesterday, and I have already decided how to find the future queen." King William's face changed completely. A big smile appeared on his face. "I'm looking forward to knowing what you are going to do. Do you want to search among the princesses of other kingdoms, or do you prefer to marry the daughter of some noble?" "No, father," something much better has occurred to me. I have thought that all the women who want it will have the opportunity to be the queen. I'm going to put up posters all over the country, announcing that all the women who want to be my wife come to the palace next Thursday. To each of them, I will give a seed that they must let it grow for a month. The king looked at his son with a perplexed face. The woman who brings the most beautiful flower will be my wife. John continued. The monarch's expression changed again and the smile faded from his face. If you have decided that way, so it will be, my son. I assume you have made this decision after much thought. You have my blessings. Thank you, father. Follow the prince. And turning around, he walked away from the throne room. King William stayed for a while thinking about his son's decision. The flower thing didn't seem like a very good idea. John had always been a smart guy, and if he had decided that way, he had to respect her. Time would tell if he was right. The next day, posters announcing the event were posted throughout the kingdom. Young single women could not believe what they were seeing. Among the girls who saw the poster was Anne, a shy young woman who worked as a waitress in the palace, who since she was a child, had been in love with the young prince. She would stare at him like a stupid every time he served food. For the next few days, Anne couldn't stop thinking about the possibility of marrying the beautiful prince. But, on the other hand, she knew that she was a humble village girl. She had no education, and also she didn't even have a nice dress to wear that day. On the other hand, I couldn't pass up that opportunity, no matter how small it was. She was dozing off thinking all those things, when the deep voice of the head chef woke her up from her reverie. "Anne, we are here to work, not to dream," he shouted. And the girl suddenly came back to reality. He had to get to work. And finally, Thursday arrived. The palace gardens were filled to the brim with beautiful girls who wanted to marry the handsome prince. They were all dressed in pretty suits. Most came from families humble, for which reason a relative had lent them the dress, or they had been made quickly and hurriedly by their own grandmothers. As Prince John had arranged, everyone had to wait their turn, in order of arrival, so that the boy will personally give each of them their seed. They were passing through the throne room, where John thanked them for their presents and gave them the seed that they had to grow for a month. One by one, the girls began to pass through the throne room, where they presented themselves to the prince and collected the seed that had been given to them. They were all very beautiful and dressed very elegantly. The young prince spent almost the entire day receiving them very attentively. When it seemed that there were no more girls, appeared someone John couldn't wait for. "Hello, Anne. What a great surprise to see you here." "Hello, sir," said the blushing girl. "Sorry that the last. I didn't know you knew my name. You are one of the waitresses who gives me food every day. How can I not know you?" "Forgive me for the audacity, sir. I know I shouldn't be here. I am not an elegant girl and I have almost no education. I don't even have a dress as pretty as the other girls, but it's just that." "Go on, Anne," said the prince, curious as to what the girl meant. "Well, look, sir, I have always been in love with you. I really like you too, Anne, but that doesn't give you any advantage over the other girls. You all have to have equal conditions. Collect your seed and sow it for a month. Meanwhile, I don't want you to You serve the food. It's better if any of the other waitresses do it. See you in 30 days, said the prince quite seriously. Over the next few days, the girls carefully planted their seeds, hoping that a beautiful flower would grow to turn them into princesses. Once the deadline was met, they all returned to the palace happy with the beautiful flowers which had sprouted from their seeds. As they did a month before, everyone had to go through the room, from the throne to show the prince her flower. The girls paraded in the same order in which they had collected their seeds. They all had beautiful flowers. And the young prince watched them without hardly saying anything. He thanked them all for their good work and congratulated them for the beauty of its flowers. The last to enter the room was Anne again. John observed in surprise that the girl didn't have any flowers in his hands. I see you haven't brought your flower, Anne. What happened? Said the prince. The young woman began to cry. Sir, I sowed my seed with all my love, but no matter how much I have watered it and cared for it carefully, no flower has sprouted. The girl could hardly articulate a word because of her disgust. I shouldn't be here right now, but in my house, with my parents, taking care of my little brothers. John was moved by the girl's story. Don't worry, Anne, you've tried even if you haven't achieved. I already have a decision made. Go with the other girls. In a few minutes, I will go out to the palace balcony to inform you of my choice. After a while, the prince looked out onto the balcony and started talking. Good afternoon. From this balcony, I am going to tell you who will be my wife, and therefore, the future queen. The king watched his son's speech expectantly from another balcony. He had a worried look. Prince, he continued speaking softly. I have always admired honest and humble people. I think those must be the qualities, main things that my wife should have. For that reason, the chosen princess is called Anne. She is the only one of the candidates who has had the honesty enough to not bring any flowers. The rest of the girls looked angry and started whispering between them. The seeds that I gave you were sterile. It is impossible for any flowers to have sprouted from them. All, you have tried to deceive me. The only one who has been honest and sincere has been Anne, and one day she will be the queen because of her great virtue. The king, he smiled proudly at his son's wisdom. Without a doubt, he would be a great monarch. Months later, the wedding took place, between Anne and John, between the joy of all those attending. I hope this story makes you think about the virtues that good people should have. This is the beautiful ending of this story. If you like this beautiful story, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave everything you want in the comments. I read them all and I will try to answer you. This will help me to keep creating stories for you. See you soon.